We now begin our discussions of the source code for the address book app, and let's start by taking a look at the many new import declarations that you see here. So for example, first of all at line 5 we have the list activity class from the android.app package. When you're creating any kind of activity where the primary responsibility of that activity is to show a list of items, you will typically extend the list activity superclass as we've done here, and that gives you for free a list view that's part of the activity. And as you'll see in later lessons, you can completely customize what the list view items look like. In this particular activity, we're using simple text views to display information, but you can put anything you want in each list view item to make very complex looking lists. Now we're going to use the intent class at line 6 here to help us launch other activities in the app. So for example, in the address book activity, when the user touches an item in the address book activities list view, we want to then display the details of that contact using our view contact activity, which we'll look at in a later video within this lesson. So we're going to use what's known as an explicit intent to cause this activity to launch other activities, both the view contact activity and also the add edit contact activity if the user chooses to add a new contact. You'll notice now we're also using the type called cursor from the Android.database package. This is our first introduction to databases in Android, and a cursor is what you use to process query results. So one of the things we're going to do, as you'll see in the onCreate method in the next video, is we're going to bind the list view of our address book list activity to a cursor, a database cursor, and it will automatically pull information from the cursor and display it in the corresponding GUI controls that are displayed within the list view. Now, because we're working with databases and database operations can be time intensive, it's a good practice to do your database operations outside of the GUI thread of execution. And for that reason, we'll be using the Android OS package's async task class, and we'll be extending that to create asynchronous tasks that do the database processing. Now, we've done menus before, but one of the new things we're going to do with menus in this app is to inflate a menu from an XML representation of the menu's contents, and we'll do that using a menu inflator. Down here at lines 14 and 15 we have the adapter view and adapter view.onItem click listener, and these will be used to help us process the interactions that the user performs on the list view by touching items in the list view. The class cursor adapter is what's going to bind together the list view and the corresponding cursor to allow the list view to display data. Of course, list view is new in this app. That's what's going to be displaying the data in the address book activity, and for our cursor adapter we'll be using a predefined class called simple cursor adapter, which is meant specifically for binding together a cursor and a list view, as you will see in the next video. Now, inside of our class address book, which extends list activity, you'll notice that we have at line 22 a static final string called row ID. This is going to be used when we need to pass information from one activity to another, in particular when we need to say to the view contact activity the user chose to display the contact details for a particular contact. We'll pass the row ID of that contact over to the view contact activity, which will then be able to get that information out of the database, and the row ID basically corresponds to the contact's unique ID in the database, and specifically to its position within the list view as well. We also have here at lines 23 and 24 a couple of instance variables. The list view called contact list view will be used to refer to the list view built into the list activity, so we can programmatically interact with it. And the cursor adapter called contact adapter, as you'll see in the next video, is going to refer to the simple cursor adapter that we create for the purpose of binding data to the address book's list view.